Two critics in the parking lot. Instant movie review.
We're actually at the screening of A Beautiful Mind. It's the 10th year anniversary for A Beautiful Mind. It was obviously done in 2001. We're hoping to get a chance to talk to Ron Howard and Kiva Goldsman, who is the screenwriter for the movie as well. So we're waiting for them right now. Yeah, I'm with David Byer right now, and you were actually the math consultant 10 years ago on A Beautiful Mind.
Yeah.
Now, when Ron was making this movie, I mean, he brings you in to bring realism to what was actually happening. So like when we saw like on the windows when he wrote all this stuff out, was that you that did that?
Yeah, they were facing a writer's strike and an actor's strike. So whenever second unit had a shot, I was actually writing the stuff. But Ron Howard, I have the same hands as Russell Crowe, pretty much. They're short and stubby.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So was that you actually writing
that?
That's
but I was. Part of it was fictional mathematics in the later part of the movie. We sort of concentrated on the Riemann hypothesis, and so we needed to imagine how the mathematics would make would move as the character moved. I wasn't expecting that people would necessarily be understanding the math, but it's more there's a texture that you can only get by having somebody do what they do. I mean, Ron Howard got this idea from Apollo 13. He had the commander at Apollo 15 come in, and he said, who cares if they get the firing sequences right, accept it as the ring of truth of it. You can't make this stuff up.
There was something about the math in the movie that it was its own entity.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, that was his mode of communication, but it took on a life of itself, obviously.
Well, Ron thought of it as another actor. They were feeling, they didn't really know would people see what was going on in my head? Maybe, maybe not. But would they feel the energy if they gave me the room to do that? They knew that would happen.
Yes. Now, did you work with Russell and explain to him what was happening to give him some of the base philosophy of what the math was about?
I mean, he wanted the math to be right. He wanted to understand what was going on with the math. I mean, there was even a moment where he's having his picture taken in front of some chalkboard to be part of 4 pictures on a cover of Time magazine that shows up in like 1 inch of the film. And he wouldn't stand there until he found out if I'd done the math on the blackboard or not.
What is it like you to revisit the film at the festival today? What is that feeling like to you?
Well, it's exciting. I mean, there's an immediacy like working in an emergency room to being in a film. That's not I love Triage, which is not the life of a mathematician. So I've been excited all day. I mean, because when I was working the film 10 years ago, if I woke up one morning when I was supposed to be on the film, it's like I better get there.
Game time, right?
Game time, and today was game time again. It's just a good feeling to get that back.
That's awesome. David, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thanks.
And with Ira Flato. And you're the moderator
Yes.
of the panel for A Beautiful Mind. It's 10th anniversary at the Tribeca Film Festival.
Right.
How much preparing did you do for this one?
Nothing.
Really? Are you that good?
No, I shouldn't say that. I do a radio show each week called Science Friday. So I've been doing this for 20 years, and I've been following science and technology and mathematics for 40 years as a journalist. So I know who the characters are, but what keeps surprising me every year is how interested the public is in science. I mean, this festival here covers science every year, and the panels we talk about with science are the first ones that get sold out. People want to come in and they want to see how film treats science or film treats mathematics because they want to learn more about it, and they don't want to see the formulas, they don't want to, they want to read the textbooks, but they can appreciate it by seeing it treated in a cinema.
Now, getting somebody like David Byer
Right.
on the panel today, and he was the math consultant for the film, that's going to blow the audience away, don't you think?
Well, what the producers like to do is that they like to put reality into their films. A lot of great producers have. Stanley Kubrick used to put in 2001: Space Odyssey. He made sure that all the math, all the physics, all the science was perfect in there, and the beauty is in the details. And film goers appreciate that beauty, and they see it, and it actually helps them enjoy the film more.
Do you think that it made A Beautiful Mind more interesting because people could dissect the math in it? And
I think it did. I mean, I didn't understand the complicated math, but I love the scene where they're drawing the math on the window and the glass and all that kind of stuff. And they're planning how to go into that, right?
Do you know that that's David's hand?
Yes, because he told me. He told me just a while back. He told me it's David's hand. But the fact that the producers and the directors thought that this would add a really good element of realism to the movie, and it allows people at different levels to appreciate the film at different levels. You may not know anything about the math on there, and you say, oh, it's beautiful stuff, but people who know the math will look at this and appreciate it a little bit more, knowing that detail is correct.
Ira, enjoy the panel today, man.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate
Thank you.
talking to us.
Thank you.
Still with Akiva Goldsman. You were the screenwriter for A Beautiful Mind. unbelievable. Let me ask you a question. The movie was a deep, deep, deep movie. You as a writer going through the process of writing that, did that come out of you as well? Do you get drained and go through what the actors are doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the process is certainly different as a writer than as an actor. But for me, it was sort of the dirty little secret of it was that my parents founded a home for emotionally disturbed children in my house. So I grew up around children who were diagnosed with schizophrenia. Wow. So this arbitrary definition, that sane or crazy, was something that always seemed very fluid to me. I never quite understood where one began and the other ended.
When growing up the kids, so that was just a normal thing. That's just how they were,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
So that's interesting. So when you wrote the screenplay, you weren't treating him as anybody different. You were treating him as just somebody that wore a different color shirt or something.
That's right. And the screenplay is based on a wonderful biography by a woman named Sylvia Nasser, which is the story of John Nash's life. But it's very much a biography. And what I did when I wrote the screenplay is I created this idea of imaginary people. And I put them in so that the audience could have the same experience that a schizophrenic has when he's told or she's told that what they see and feel isn't real. So I wanted the audience to feel as robbed, as somebody who suffers the illness does.
I really don't think anyone else that didn't have your experience growing up could have put the heart into this movie. I don't think that they could feel it. They wouldn't know how to write about this person, would they?
I certainly had my own viewpoint on the illness. I think that there were probably, many ways to embrace John's life. I just really focused on the part of it that resonated with my own.
Right. Now, Akiva, this is the 10th anniversary of the movie. You probably wrote this 12 years ago.
10 and a half.
You're pretty fast, obviously. What does Tribeca and this 10th anniversary mean to you? What are you feeling?
Well, I'm a New Yorker, born and bred, and I although I spend a lot of time in Los Angeles, I still keep my apartment here, and my mother still lives in Brooklyn Heights in the house I grew up in. So, I've watched this festival grow, especially, in the wake of 9/11, and it's been such a wonderful and it's had a profound impact on the community and downtown.
Even building the theater and everything down there, really, Russell Simmons was telling us that economically made a big difference to the city right there, close to Ground Zero.
Yeah, and this right here today, I mean, the existence of the festival as a real film festival that people come to join and be part of from all over the world, that's changed the face of the city and its profile as a community of filmmakers. So,
Akiva, thank you so much, and enjoy your screening today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you. I am with Ron Howard and Brian Grazer from A Beautiful Mind, and it's the 10th year. 10 years ago you guys did this. Actually, it's probably about 11 years ago. When did you guys actually shoot?
Sorry? I've forgotten. It's all a fault.
When did you actually when you actually shot the movie?
2000. I think we shot in 2001. It was released in 2000. Oh, won an Oscar in 2002.
That's it.
That's a quick turnaround for a movie, isn't it?
It feels like it was 2 years ago. Not 10.
That's because we relish the memory.
Well, you know what? I got to talk to Akiva, and the story about him growing up in a household where his parents handled schizophrenic children, was that in your mind when you brought him on as a screenwriter for the movie? Was that something that was a base you thought would make it work?
Well, he began working with Brian on it before I was really involved.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was actually. It was at a time in Akiva's career where I think he felt he was just doing pop culture films, and he wanted to do something that was a complete counterpoint to that, something with a much more serious nature. And he, of course, did live with that, and he wanted to mine the depth of what that could be.
Yeah, and obviously it led him right from a viewpoint that no one else could ever bring to the story.
Well, there are two things about it in terms of the way it was written and what we tried to do with it. One is that it was very personal to him, and I think that infused the whole story with a kind of a humanity and emotion and authenticity. But he also is likes to tell entertaining stories, loves entertaining movies. So in a way, it felt for a while like it was almost supernatural, like a ghost story, and then there's an element of it that's very much like a thriller.
Because you have the characters out there, right?
And it's not just a straight-ahead docudrama formulaic approach.
Now, the other thing that was amazing about the movie is the mathematics is so precise in it, and you have people that are fans because of the math. Now, did you expect that to be such a prevalent, it's a character in the movie, isn't it?
We probably thought it was going to be a burden, but as he started developing what it meant to him, And as I started interviewing mathematicians and understanding that on that theoretical level, it's very much like creativity. I mean, it is creativity, and it's an art form more than an academic discipline, or in addition to being an academic discipline. That gave something interesting to work with musically, visually, and everything else.
Brian, 10th year anniversary at Tribeca. What does Tribeca mean to you guys?
Well, I think it means oh, good. Here we go.
It's a great interview, by the way.
I know he does. He's great. No. What does it mean to us? Well, I think it's we and it, as far as A Beautiful Mind started at the same time, and I think at the time it was a very small film festival, and now it's grown to become one of the most important film festivals in the world.
We really see it as one of the monster film festivals, and what's happened here this week has been fantastic. It's a monster film festival. So you guys have you're going to do the Q&A, you're going to do the talk in front of everybody tonight as well?
He was mentioning pole dancing, but
well, it's funny because they actually just brought the pole dancing. What the tone would be.
I didn't see it on the program.
Did you see that tub with the Jello?
I didn't see any of it.
And those people are really small.
I wasn't going to go there, but I just. Well, gentlemen, enjoyed the movie. Thank you for talking to us so much. Ron, good meeting you. Good seeing you again, buddy. I am with Sylvia Nasar. Now, you wrote the book that A Beautiful Mind is based on, right?
I did. And the book, by the way, grew out of a New York Times story
That you wrote?
that I wrote that ran on the front of the Sunday business section.
Now, your book was more of a biography, am I right?
Well, yes, it's a biography, and of course it's nonfiction. But what is amazing about John Nash's story is that it is like a fairy tale. I mean, here's someone who's so unusual, who's one of the great mathematicians of the century, who had this meteoric rise and then fell further than most of us. For 30 years, he suffered from schizophrenia. He was impoverished. He was ill. He was like a street person around Princeton, being sheltered by his ex-wife, who was the last person who, was willing to help him. And then, after 30 years, he recovered and was recognized for what he had done as a 21-year-old graduate student.
Amazing, that's right.
And won a Nobel Prize. And then got his life back. And I watched him get his life back.
Did you actually interview John himself to do your story, or did you have to do it through research?
Well, no. I mean, he didn't cooperate on either the story or the book, but I talked to him many times while I was researching the book, but he didn't cooperate. It wasn't an authorized biography. But after the book was published, he decided he wanted to be friends. And the first time we double dated, we took him to a Broadway show. He had never been to a Broadway show, the first Broadway show he'd ever been to.
Amazing. Sylvia, enjoy the screening.
Oh.
So nice to talk to you. Thank you so much.